So we're going to talk about, getting scammed.
Yeah, because
I mean, they are all over. They are out there,
the scammers are alive and well. And I, as a financial coach, counselor, educator, trainer, whatever you want to call me, I got scammed. Welcome. This is For Better and Worth,
the podcast where we don't believe you have to sacrifice your relationship while you grow and build your net worth.
We are your hosts.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Erica Young. And we're so glad you're joining us today.
All right, y'all, let's get into it. Hey, folks, we are back at it again.
Yes. Hey, honey.
How you doing?
I'm having a day. I'll be honest. It's been a full day already, and we got some interesting news today. And I'm sad.
Well, the episode isn't going to be about.
No, it's not.
This,
but I mean, I think I need to be transparent with our listeners about where I'm at.
Well, go ahead and tell the people what's going on.
Well, my doggy is in pain. Why are you laughing?
He's a former athlete that has suffered a setback.
He has a torn ACL, and mommy is sad.
I'm laughing because this is by far the first time I've ever heard of a dog tearing an ACL.
Yeah, so I told him that he couldn't be out in the backyard with his friends playing football, and
this is crazy as well.
Clearly did not comply, So he literally has an injury that could, in fact, need surgery. Hopefully not.
It's in corporate circles, they say CLMs.
What is that?
Career limiting moves.
Yes, that part.
This is a career limiting move for Mr. Barrick because let's be honest, people, I'm not spending $5,000 on surgery. So.
Okay, so this is also a financial podcast. So the
saga... You can't throw good money after bad.
The saga will continue on Mr. Bear's torn ACL. But for now, he is on medication and bed rest. He cannot go on any walks for 7 days.
Yeah, it's funny that this happened today and, we're recording right now.
Yes. I mean, this is real life and mommy is sad about her baby. So that's real. So, but for real.
I'm sad as well.
You know what? That is so not convincing. You just look silly instead of convincing. I'm just going to say it like that. But anyway, mommy is sad. And hopefully Bear will recover swiftly and be able to still play with his friends.
Let's get to the task at hand.
You see how you just want to go moving on to the next thing so fast.
On to the real topic.
Can we just have a moment of silence? No.
Look, it's funny. This whole all this is about you today. So
no, it's not. It's about everybody. Okay. Because if this has happened to you, then I empathize.
Right. I really empathize with you all. So we're going to talk about, getting scammed.
Yeah, because...
I mean, they are all over. They are out there, The
scammers are alive and well. And I, as a financial coach, counselor, educator, trainer, whatever you want to call me, I got scammed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sad thing though when you really start to think about it because people make this a profession.
Yeah.
They do this for a living. So you shouldn't feel bad because they do this.
Yeah. And I'm not about that life because I realized I added it up. Believe it or not, I got scammed twice this year. And once many years ago, I'm going to venture to say it was about 15 years ago when my debit card was compromised. And that time, I don't know if you remember this, but back in the day, actually it had to be around that time because I had just started my business and it was my business account that was compromised. All I had was a debit card, and somebody used $200 at a place that
Oh, I remember
I
this.
should not be using
I
my
remember
business
this.
card at, okay? I'm
I
not going to give more
remember.
detail, but it was not financial services, okay?
Right.
So,
Look, we're gonna talk offline because you can't keep getting scammed.
I know. Okay, and
All right, you
and
can't keep getting your car compromised.
yes, exactly. Now, again, it's been 15 years in between or thereabouts, but this year, 2024, somebody has got it out for me. I'm just
Look.
saying, I don't understand what's going on here.
So let's talk about it because we see on the news when there are folks who are, elderly people, they'll get a call and there's someone that will try and convince them that they need to send them money for a certain issue. And we've seen, news stories where they went ahead and they sent them money and then they realized after the fact that it was a scam, or we know about the emails. Like, I delete so many emails that are just scams.
Right. I'm from Zimbabwe and my uncle needs the money to get across the
Right.
border. I'm
I
like,
was like, stop putting that on my people. I'm not from Zimbabwe, but stop putting that on the Africans.
Right, right.
They're running some scams.
The king is good for the money. Like, no.
Yeah, or send me I'm gonna send you a cashier's check, and
Right.
then I want you to go and get the difference and give me the difference. No, none of that.
Mm-mm.
And I'm sure if you're out there listening, there's got to be something that you have experienced along these lines. You got a phone call or something, but kind of tell the people what you experienced.
Recently, I got a new debit card because it was timed, so every few years they're like, get you a new debit card. So I did. I waited.
Or they sent it to you. Your card was expiring. So it's
That's
the
correct.
normal course of events. Your card was expiring. They sent you a new one.
Exactly. So I did that. And then not even 2 months later, that particular card, I got a call from our credit union. Shout out to all the credit unions out there.
Boop, boop.
Yes. So I got a call from our credit union saying, "Hey, did you make these charges?" And I said, "No." And so in that regard, it was kind of a painless process in that moment to just close the card and go get another one because our credit union is literally right up the street. But it was compromised. And before it hit my account, they saw the pending charges and they were asking because it didn't look like routine things that I did. So it got flagged and they called me.
Shout out to the credit union for being on top of it.
Absolutely. And they called multiple times because I want to say that either I was asleep or I was away from my phone or something, but they had actually called multiple times in order to catch me and make sure that I got the call. So then, not even a month later, I got another call and they said, have you, made these transactions at 3 or 4 in the morning? I'm like, no, I was not making these transactions. I was not doing Amazon.
It's just crazy because
at 3 in the morning.
It's crazy because it's timing.
Yeah.
And it's within a month. And you're like, wait a minute, I just went through this. And because the credit union was proactive, you had a tendency to believe what they were saying.
And on the flip side, there have been times when either we were out of the country or in a different state and I made multiple transactions and my credit union called and said, were these yours? And I said, yes, that was me. I'm out of the country. Thank you for asking and not declining my card because this is in fact me. So I'm glad that our credit union does that. But this time in particular, they asked one question that I have to admit that my brain I wasn't 100. Okay. I'm going to just say,
I'm glad you're prefacing it.
I'm just going to say, because I think I was more frustrated because I had already had to get a new card just because of the expiration. Then I got another card because of the past, like 3 weeks prior, I had to make sure that I didn't get compromised again, but then I did get compromised. And so this will have been the third debit card and I was annoyed. So I was like, I remember saying, is this for real? I'm tired of this. Like, come on now. because that's just how I am. And
Right,
I
right.
will just get, real deal with you. And they asked me this question. I want to make sure that your card is in your possession. And I was like,
They are so slick.
now, that wouldn't have been a problem, right? That wouldn't have been a problem. I went to make sure that it was in my possession because, quite frankly, that makes sense, sort of.
Right.
They were asking me about these transactions that I said no to. But here is the difference. If they ask for the last 4 or last 8 digits of your debit card, that is a scam.
You're like, hold on. CVV.
Yeah, no, they didn't actually ask for CVV.
I know, but they start asking questions like, yeah, can you tell me the first 8 numbers of your card?
And here's the deal. The first 8 are the same as your first 8 because we are at the same financial institution. So if they're asking for the last 8,
they're trying to
get your card number. Now, your bank, your credit union, your financial institution will know your card number. And that is why they're calling you, because on that particular card, some fraud has occurred if they're calling you. So anyway, I got scammed because when I shared too much information, they now had my information. So frankly, nothing. So let me fast forward to, I got off the phone with them because when I started to question, is this for real?
Like, this doesn't feel right.
They hung up or the call got disconnected. And here's what's interesting is it said my financial institution on the call. So I assumed it was them too.
Right.
So, and I called back and it said it was my financial institution.
Right. It sent you to them.
It sent me to them. So then when I got somebody on the line, they said, "Oh, we don't see any pending transactions that could be fraudulent. We didn't call you." And I said, "Hold on."
They built some real slickness in there.
They did. So
routed it to the actual credit union.
Exactly.
When you called back.
And so that's why. So in that moment, they said, well, now that you have told us what you told us, we do need to cancel this card. So that might not have played out like that had they not asked for information and I gave them something. I only gave them one thing. And so never give the last 4 digits or the last 8 digits of your card. And because of that, they said, you now have to get another card. We have to cancel this for you. And I'm thankful that they had my back and all that. But it does beg the question, why does this keep happening to me?
Well, I remember recently you asked me a question, as we were preparing for this, if I had ever been scammed like that.
Yeah.
And my answer was no, because I think for a long time, I had trepidation about online shopping, and I was never really one to do a whole lot of online shopping.
You old school.
I still am kind of old school. I walk around with cash in my pocket. And I know now I do, more online shopping, and we'll have to talk about it one day, credit versus debit. And I actually have one credit card, which we have a 0 balance on it, but I have it because I travel, I get, rewards and things like that. But I usually only use it for travel. Like we book trips because we have, there's limitations with credit unions on your daily spending and stuff like that. But I just didn't have I don't think I had a really great online presence from a shopping perspective and online purchases and things like that. And I just always have had like trepidation sometime about, what site, if I'm shopping on a site, it could be a reputable site. And sometimes I'm like, I'm not putting my debit card out just because, that's my money.
Right. And I think that's why you actually got the card. If I'm not mistaken, sure, the points are a thing, but
that's a byproduct.
We don't even use it enough for that.
We are not advocating getting a card to go and get reward points. I have to stop right there because I know people that do that, and they will say, we want you to continue to make progress.
Right.
And not make, mistakes.
Because it could be a trap. But I think your intention was to reduce your footprint online because you did have trepidation because you are old school, right? And so, and
I'm gonna need you to stop. Roll back on all that old school.
I mean, is it not the truth though?
Well, it may be the truth, but I don't need you to keep saying it over and over.
You don't want me to say old school again?
Look. It's all good.
But I think that's why. So,
I'm not out here getting scammed either, people.
Now, that's not right. I mean, if this is what we doing, right? Like,
no, we're in this together.
That's right.
Because we have one account, so if they're scamming you, they're scamming me.
They are. So, but I think when I asked you that question, the interesting thing about that was it really made me start to think: was there a new vendor that I used that could have, made the difference?
Some
and there
new
was
shady vendor you've been working with.
There was. I mean, honestly, I'm not even. There was, and I'm not here to out, particular.
Yeah, you're not here to shame them, but
no, but I do think that when. I bought something for like $30 from a site that I had never purchased from, and I think. And I, in how long it took, it was not stateside. You know what I mean? Like, so I could identify that was a change in my shopping behavior, and that probably makes a difference.
It's funny that as you talk about that, I remember recently I tried to make a purchase, and I said to you, I'm almost certain that this is a scam. But I was
what was it, babe? Are you not saying that either?
It was like a tool kit or something.
Oh, I remember that. Yes.
I was like, I know this is a scam. This is too good to be true.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true.
It probably is.
And I was like, I'm gonna try it. And I put my card in, and they were like, denied it. They were like, no, this is a scam.
See?
And so, I mean, you gotta follow the clues.
You could have been a victim too.
I know, but I was like, it was a test.
Oh, you know what? See,
I knew it was a scam.
Give
but
a sister something. And I too thought something is fishy about this phone conversation. But I was so annoyed that this could have been my third debit card that I had to change over. Because when you do that, anything that is automatic on your debit card.
Oh, man, it is such a hassle.
It is. Now, I will say I'm really thankful because I did realize that there are only 3 things that I have on auto pay on my debit card. Usually it's just I do ACH. I mean, that's my
which
preference.
Which is probably better, probably safer.
Yeah. So, and it doesn't go through the card system. So that is, it was good to know what those 3 things were. And that made it easy because it wasn't like 20 things that I had to go change, right? If it were my bank account that was actually compromised, that would have been a whole lot more.
Well, let's talk about like some of the signs that people need to look out for. Because you said one thing was when they start to ask you for that sequence of numbers from your credit card that are beyond the initial 8, like the last 8 digits, that's something to consider.
Yep.
I would also say, because phone calls are one means of doing that, but like, card reader scams are real. And I actually was at the bank, like at the ATM getting money out. And before I took the money out, I was actually like playing around with it. Like,
yeah, to make sure that it was sturdy.
Yeah, checking to see that it was on there and that, it hadn't been tampered with. And sometimes it's okay to just take a few moments and just, check the reader to make sure that it's intact, especially if it's not like a major chain or something that is highly reputable. If it's like a one-off store, sometimes it's okay to take that extra moment. But what is something else that you've seen that could indicate that scam likely? We've all seen that on your phone. Scam likely.
Right.
Potential spam.
Right. Well, honestly, I think I'm just going to kind of go back to too much information, right? So not just on the phone call, but even online, like they don't need all the information. I'm really also a person who's like, do I really need, I'm starting to really think about, do I really need this? Because because we have our debit card is connected to everything. And that is a problem. And so if I think sometimes we kind of need to take a break and pull things off, like off of Amazon, and pause a minute and not do all the shopping, because I feel like that's where it starts happening. But the other thing is change your passwords.
Yes.
Change passwords. And I know I hate it. But change passwords. Because if you change passwords, then that's one. Just make it harder for people. I mean, we don't want to make it super easy by giving them,
the ability to crack the code of your passwords. That if you have one and you use it on 20 different things, it's like, if they have the one, then they have all the other 19.
Yes. So I fall prey to that because it's easy. It's easy to have one password and you put it on everything. But that's not a good idea. So I've actually, just in the last couple of years, actually started really trying to change it. And I
use
think,
one of the vault. Use one of the vault technologies. If you have an iPhone or Android, there's usually some sort of vault that you can save your passwords in, and you still have to be, cautious with that you don't just give, people can't just get access to that. But scamming is like, it's something that's real out there, and we all have to be aware. Mm-hmm. And I'll even say, like, I just don't like when people call me on my phone. They call my number, then they ask me questions about me, and they have a lot of information. I'm like, wait a minute. No.
Who are you?
I'm like, how are you calling me, asking me questions about me? No. You need to be providing all the information in order to engage with me. And I had somebody call, they said they're from such and such research, and you have XYZ service, and we're calling to, do a survey. I was like, nope. Mm-mm. No, thank you. Click.
I get calls from Google all the time to verify my business, blah, blah, blah.
Thank you.
And I promise you, if I want to, I can go online and verify the business or whatever. Stop calling me.
Right.
Take me off your list. And
I think we both are sounding kind of old school right now.
I'm gonna take it. Matter of fact, we need to get more simplified. I feel like when we were back in the day, things were more simple and easy.
Look, take this advice from these old school heads, and don't get yourself scammed. Don't fall for scam likely.
Don't do it. But the other thing is, you mentioned vaults. I like LastPass. That's a vault for passwords, and they will generate very difficult passwords for you.
I mean, let's be LastPass they were compromised at one point over the last few years. So
everybody was.
They can even get the vaults.
Let's be clear. All these institutions could be compromised. That's the problem, right? So if somebody got your information, it's just, is anybody using it for harm?
Yeah, and they're major corporations out there that get held hostage by ransomware attacks. Yeah. And so it's all over the place. It's not just, end user consumers. Corporations are subject to this as well. And there were some big articles that were out in the healthcare space about a company that had, basically been held hostage. And so it's one of those things where it impacts at every level. And I think it just requires more due diligence from each of us in how we approach our accounts and how we, protect ourselves in regards to, information that we give and we share, and just be aware and alert.
Yeah. I would say one thing between you and I that we do is we have checks and balances because we do share one checking account. We'll ask each other if one person is looking at the account. We'll say, hey, did you do such and such charge? And I'll say yes or no. Or
it's like, hey, it's not typically, did you, hey, what is this? Did you do this? What is this on the account?
Yeah.
That's usually my response.
Let's just be clear. I'm glad you owned up to
Right.
that behavior.
It's not usually, yes, dear, I was reviewing the account, and in my analysis, I noticed some purchases that were taking place. No, it's like, hey, woman, what is going on? What is this?
What meaneth this? What have you done? What have you
Right.
purchased?
Right.
Yeah. So
That's just my knee jerk reaction. Then I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, my bad. Okay, I'm sorry.
yeah, you just did that today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, that's what made me think of
You were like, wait a minute.
I was like,
What?
why is this just coming through?
Yes.
This happened some weeks ago.
And that's funny because that transaction should have happened 2 weeks ago,
Right.
but it didn't because of the fraud that occurred.
Because the scammers got you.
Yes, I had to get a new debit card, so that transaction came in later. But so it's a ripple effect, and it takes a while, honestly, to recover from some of that stuff. So
I think there's a couple things that people can do to try and protect themselves.
Let's talk about it.
There are, the online, monitoring services, the credit monitoring, and they can give you alerts. And most institutions, if they notice, suspicious activity, they'll reach out to you to inquire as to if you were making those purchases. And I know not everyone can afford to pay for the monitoring services, but they're relatively inexpensive, and sometimes you can afford what you want to afford.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that I would say is on your bank account, you can probably set up alerts for spending over a certain dollar amount,
Yep.
which could be nice if you're really trying to, one, monitor your budget, and two, make sure that there's no spending more than what you would desire. Because it's interesting, on both occasions when they were asking me, did you make these purchases? Like one of them was $500 or something was $200. They weren't all small.
Right.
And so
they may have been profiling you too.
Yeah, they probably were. And so the thing that I would add, and I think that this is something that couples really should do, is above a dollar amount, you need to have a conversation before you actually spend the money. And so if you actually have an alert on that, and let's just say it's $200. If it's over $230 that came through your account, then it wasn't y'all. It wasn't between the two of you, because you would have discussed that, right? So
I think another thing that people need to do is you need to check your account regularly.
Yes.
Because if you're someone who you don't log into, if you use a mobile app or you go online and you look at your account, you need to do that with a regular frequency, because you can potentially spot something early on. If it's a charge that's just come through, or if you see it's a charge that's pending, you can reach out to your financial institution and you can begin the dispute process.
Mm-hmm.
So those funds that they're potentially trying to scam you for, the bank will begin to work with you to protect you so you won't lose your money or your funds as well. So be regular about how you go about looking at your accounts.
Yeah, like staying on track is going to help you, because you know what your account should look like. You know what should have come through if you were paying attention to that stuff. So I think that that's really important. I would also say, and I hate these, so that's why I'm laughing. But
I was wondering, that sounded kind of sinister.
I don't like it, but I like it. Like the 2-factor authentication. So, I think that could be, a good way to protect yourself online. Because this is a couple things. One is, fraud in your bank account, but there could also be fraud just in general, like people accessing your data online, or accessing
your identity.
Yeah. And that's really problematic, right? That's an extra layer of somebody trying to be you or get credit in your name. Identity theft is terrible, and so that is definitely where you have to report that to.
As much as we may not like it, that
police.
2-factor authentication, that's definitely a good thing to put in place, because I was logging into an account and it was like asking me to send myself a text message. And I was like, man, I logged in with my password.
Right.
But then how easy is it for them to just send me a text message and me to put that verification code in? So I really don't mind it, because I think part of the responsibility for the institutions is to start putting more things in place that are safeguards to try and help protect their clientele.
Yeah.
And so I really don't mind that now when it asks me that. And if it gives me the option of how I want to send it. So I think that's a good point that you bring up.
Yeah. And the other thing that I do now is I use my thumbprint, right? Like or your fingerprint on your phone.
Yeah.
So that there are things you don't even have to do it on everything, but certain access.
Yeah, facial ID and stuff like that.
Those can protect you as well if your phone is stolen, things like that. So I mean, there's a lot of ways. I hate that I have to live in a world where this all is necessary, but
scam likely.
But it's real. Like, these people are out to get us, get our money. I mean, literally, this is all a money grab. That's what this is.
So let's talk about make it worth it. So how would you, after having been scammed a couple of times, well, I say scam, but just compromise, because let's be honest, they didn't get any money or any funds or anything like that. So it wasn't the full execution of the scam.
That's right.
It was a pre-scam. Let's call it that. You were pre-scammed.
Yeah.
So what would you say to give to the people is your make it worth it?
Well, one, I'll say no one is immune. It doesn't matter who you are or how, well you try to protect yourself. Lots of things can happen. And so I'm not an overindulgent shopper, but I definitely put my information in somewhere.
Get your reps in.
That is not what I was going for, okay?
Oh, my bad.
That is not what but it could be that one place that that can compromise you. So I would, stay on your game. And the one thing that I would leave you with is know what your banking institution offers you in terms of how they'll protect your identity. Know how they're going to do it, because they don't all do it exactly the same, but know what your protections are. If you have a credit card, know what your protections are with your banking institution ahead of time. And that's one thing I clearly learned is that they will never ask for any numbers on your debit card. Right. And so knowing that ahead of time will make any future encounters like that easier to navigate, because I already know the truth. And because that was something I wasn't aware of, I didn't know exactly how to handle it in that moment. So get aware before you have to, and you're not on your third debit card in 1 quarter. How about that?
That is great insight that you've provided.
How about you? How would you make it worth it, husband?
I as we have this conversation, the thing that comes to mind is pay attention. You said be aware, but I say pay attention. Because like I said, check your accounts regularly and, listen for the clues and the signs that someone is trying to scam you, because we're in the age of, you got your Apple Pay or your Apple Wallet and tap to pay and, the ease of paying. We all fall into that, but you have to pay attention, because I get, I'll do something on a touch to pay, but I'll go and I'll look as well, and I'll make sure it goes through. And mine is set up where I still put in my PIN number. And so just pay attention, because we've tried to make it so easy to be consumers that we've almost made it too easy for those others that are out there looking to prey upon you to be successful at doing that.
Ooh, now that'll preach.
So
that
pay attention to the details, because the details matter.
They do. That was good, husband. That's it. Mic drop. Well, I'm ready.
Well, look, I'm glad we were able to come together and do this. And I may joke, but I got your back.
Thank you, babe. I appreciate that.
They were trying to pre-scam us. Yeah. And so they didn't get us.
No. And they not going to do it next time. How about that? I'm going to rise up on these people.
Right. So until next time, people.
We're out.
Thank you for spending some of your time with us today.
We appreciate all of your support. So be sure to subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen to this podcast.
You can find us on Instagram at For Better and Worth.
And sign up to receive our free guide, The 7 Reasons Your Money Relationship Isn't Working with Your Partner, on forbetterandworth.com.
Until next time, we're out of here.